do you believe if a sexual person had a relationship with an asexual, it can work? And what do you think about being fair or not? And you said, I think it can work as not every sexual person needs sex to feel comfort. Therefore could live without it, and not every asexual person doesn't want sex, therefore that could work out as well. However, in a scenario where the sexual person wants sex and the asexual person doesn't, I believe an agreement should be set for the sexual person to be able to have sex with someone else on the side, as long as the asexual person gets something in return as part of the agreement. So coming from I'm really fiercely monogamous, I would see that as cheating and completely unacceptable. So can you share more about your perspective, please, Minky, about how you think in principle and in natural reality there's such an arrangement would work, and why do you think that's a good way of being in a relationship? Because obviously I'm the opposite in thought to you.
So the way I saw it, and I kind of still see it today as well, is like obviously you come to an agreement. For me, yeah, the way I kind of saw it, and I kind of still do, and I think it would. I obviously think it works on a person to person basis. Obviously, like it's like if I was in a relationship with a sexual person, kind of thing, someone who wanted sex, and they wanted to have sex, but I wasn't willing to do that.
Yeah.
I would probably say let's come to some sort of agreement because I don't want to not I because personally like I don't want to stop them from having sex, but I don't want to give them sex, you know. So in a way, I feel like it's probably best if we came to some sort of agreement where they could do something where they could get their sex
Yeah.
and maybe I would get something in return. I don't know what I would get in return, but that's kind of the general idea. I don't know if I would say that I need something in return, to be honest, because obviously I don't have that experience yet. Probably wouldn't be bothered personally, because I know that they would want sex anyway, and I know they're not trying to be horrible, if you will. You know, as long as they're honest about it, they're not like trying to like lie about it, trying to hide it or anything. But like, well, that's coming from my perspective, and maybe I am kind of naive about it, if you will. But personally, if I were to put myself in that situation, I wouldn't be too bothered as long as they're honest about it, if you will.
So when you say honest about, would you want to be told about all the different sexual partners?
So the way I would personally look at it is, so like if they were just having sex with other people and there wasn't like a relationship, I probably wouldn't be bothered as long as they were honest about it. So if they say like, if I asked them like where they were, for example, which I'm not in a controlling way, but if I asked them where they were at such a time,
Yeah.
and they told me, and they told me the truth, and they said, "Oh, I was with this person, I was having sex with them," I wouldn't be bothered because they're being honest about it. But if they're getting in a relationship with someone else, I'd probably want them to tell me at least. I don't know if I'd be fine with sharing, quote unquote, if you will, but because I'm not having sex with them anyway. So, but I wouldn't want a polyamorous. It is polyamorous. The multiple,
It's where you have
yeah,
an open relationship and they're allowed to have relationships, sexual or otherwise, with other people as well as you.
yeah. Like
It could be a polyamorous one, really. How would it differ from a polyamorous one?
I wouldn't imagine having multiple myself, but that's
Right.
because not because I want, not because I'd be happy with just one, but simply because I couldn't imagine getting multiple people. To put it
Ah,
bluntly,
so
yeah,
if you
yeah.
had the opportunity to like have two asexual partners, for example, and your sexual partner had two or three or whatever more sexual partners.
Maybe. I don't know, to be honest.
It's really interesting. I think it's good for the viewers because obviously it gives them a
Yeah,
different perspective, because I'm the opposite of this. So I like people to hear different people's perspectives, because obviously
yeah,
asexual perspectives, 47 asexual stories books. I want people to know there's people in this book that are not all the same as me. They're completely different perspectives. And
yeah,
5mart2n is Minky's alias name in here. So this is really important because I think people who are asexual, some people feel the same way as you, and they don't actually know how it would work in principle and what they would like and what they wouldn't be comfortable with. And so I just thought it'd be good to explore that. So for the
mm,
listeners that are and the viewers that are more open to that, how would it work in principle? It's quite practical advice for them, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's one of those like areas where it's just gotta like you gotta discuss it and you gotta understand each other's feelings and whatnot in regards to it. I mean, like I said, personally, I think like because I'm not gonna give anyone sex. You know, I'm not that, I don't, I'm not, I just don't want it or anything of the sort. That's where I'm coming from. If I was in a relationship with someone and they wanted sex, I don't want to stop them from having sex, but I don't want to just stop the relationship. It's like if I wasn't interested in a certain video game series, I wouldn't tell them not to play that video game series because I wasn't interested in it, kind of thing. Obviously, it's a video game and not actual sex, but I think the comparison is still there at least.
What about emotional connection though? Don't you really have that much emotional connection with people? Like, don't you ever, because I have like because obviously there's different types of intelligence, isn't there? Like logical intelligence, relational intelligence, emotional intelligence, and emotional connection. Do you not think about emotional connection? Like would it affect how you emotionally felt about the person, or do you not really come from an emotional connection point of view? Because I said on this channel that I believe that asexuals, usually when we love, it's from an emotional connection because of the physical stuff's not there. But how do you see asexual love? Like how would you describe it? Like I describe it as like we emotional connection for me, a deep emotional connection, as well as obviously aesthetic attraction and romantic attraction, but it's the emotional connection that would kind of keep it going in the main for me, and would dictate, I guess, how I felt about the person and whether I want them in my life continuously or not. So does emotional connection come into it for you, or is emotional connection not something that you're that familiar with or know about?
I probably, it's probably something I've not thought about, and I don't, I don't think that's really it. I don't think I've really thought about it all that much, but it is. I think that's a good point, but I think if I were to look at it, it's like if I'm understanding it correctly, from the emotional point, it's like I, I would I would want them to be happy, kind of thing.
Right.
So obviously, if they're happier getting some sex on the side, I think I would be emotionally happy if you were. So hopefully that makes sense.
It's a really interesting topic. It's really interesting to dive into this because obviously I don't really talk about this on my channel that much because it's not something I'm personally interested in. But that's why I like having you on this channel to give this different insight and perspective. And it's kind of like nice because I feel that you're doing it from a good place if you were to do that. It's like coming from a place of caring about the other person, maybe more than yourself in that way. And the fact that you're thinking that if sex makes them happy and you love that person, you'd want them to be happy. So you're happy for them to have the sex elsewhere.